Good evening. Good evening, everybody. It is it's October the 22nd, 2020, and it's a Thursday evening. It's Thursday. Yeah, it's a Thursday, and hey, it's good to see you all. It's good to see you as you're making your way in here. Of course, this is Cutler on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform. Looks like I was just looking for something, right? But come on in and take a seat. Make sure you have your beverage, your favorite beverage, and all of that good stuff as you're walking into the room. Come on in and do a thumbs up, like the conversation. This is Cutler. We got 1,800 seconds. It's so good to see you all. We got 1,800 seconds, and for the next 1,800 seconds, I am with you in your living room, your kitchen, your dining room, your car if you're driving and listening, your car if you're looking and pulled over. But wherever you will allow me, there I am with you. And we have about 1,800 seconds. We got to make our time count. And I want to take a look and see who our LTTC VIPs are for the evening. And it looks like it's Sandra, Yvonne, and Audrey. It's so good to see you all. And a special shout out and hello to Panikia. How are you all doing? All right, you all know it's Thursday. Today is the 22nd, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, don't forget, go down there and do a thumbs up and like the conversation. That just tells YouTube that you like the conversation, the content. It reminds me that that you all enjoy the conversation too. So it sort of encourages my heart, as the old folk would say. But listen, let me just quickly remind you all that we are chit-chatting. We're basing our conversation on this book, Billboards to Better. You all know I wrote this book, right? This is Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. You can pick it up over on YouTube. We're here on YouTube. You can pick it up over on Amazon.com or just go to gbcutler.com and pick it up. But it's so good to see you all. It's so good to see everybody. On Thursdays, we will take a look at our sources for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then Saturday, I hope you all are reading the sources of motivation and inspiration for Saturday, because Saturdays, I say Saturday is all day your way. But if you're reading that source of motivation, let that be part of maybe your meditation, part of a conversation opener with some people. I think they're a great topic and conversation starters. So that's just me. Maybe I'm a little biased. All right. Again, so good to see you all. So good to have you all here with me on this Thursday evening. I want to go ahead and get started, and I want to chit chat for just a moment and talk about. I wonder how many of us have ever lied on people. How many of us have ever lied on people? Now usually I'll say put that in the comments if you've ever lied on people. But what I'll do a role reversal. How many of you have ever been lied on? And by lied on tonight, I don't mean somebody just totally. I don't want to say that anybody slandered your character, but I mean they quoted you and they said that you said something that you didn't. So how many of you have ever been lied on in that respect, where people misquoted you? All right. So I want to deal with what happens when we lie on people, or when people lie on us. And you all may have seen what I posted on social media today. It was just a few words that said, "Stop lying on God." I haven't even taken a look to see what the feedback was. I just posted, "Stop lying on God." All right, and we'll get to that. We'll talk about what that means when, Cutler, what were you thinking about when you said stop lying on God? But you want people to be inspired and motivated after the conversation. Well, I hope you will. We're going to put a twist on it. You know how we try to do here. All right. For our Wednesday lesson, our Wednesday source of motivation and inspiration, it says, you all, life gives us many options. Death offers us only two. We have a whole lot of options in life. Death only offers us two. And of course, there's an anecdote in the book that says, in life, we get to start over, but in death, we cannot undo. There are no do-overs in death. And we already know, of course, those two options in death, when it comes to death, it's either, as I believe, heaven or hell, up or down, all right? But this is about, this lesson tonight, this quote tonight, it's about making each moment count, you all. It's about being very methodical. It's about being intentional. It's about being deliberate with your life. It is about making the right choices before we actually run out of options. It is about setting goals and working towards them every single day to reach our goals, the goals that we set. This is about doing the right that we know we should do while we still can do it. It's about living a wholesome life. It is about living a good life. It's about being a good person. And it is about being respectful and respectable. And those are two different things, you all. It's one thing to be respectful of others, but it is different to be a respectable person where you have led such a life or you live such a life until you lead a respectable life. When you lead a respectable life, it means that in the sight of other people, you're good and you're wholesome and you're upstanding. Does it mean that you're perfect? Absolutely not. But it means that you are a wholesome person. And if we strive for nothing else, you all, we ought to at least strive to be wholesome. We ought to at least strive to be good. Let that be said about us, that that's a good person. That's a good sister. That's a good brother. So this source of motivation and inspiration tonight, this one is about considering what you do before you do it. Because in life, we have a whole lot of options. And so this one reminds us to think about what you do before you do it. Consider what you say before you say it. Consider where you're going before you go there. How many times have we done things? Have we reacted a certain way and then we regret it? Have anybody ever done anything that you did, you said something, you did something, and you regretted it? I don't know about you, but really that has been me quite often. I've done things, I've said things, and then I've regretted those things. How many times have we said things that damaged other people? How many times have we said things that then damaged ourselves? And the unfortunate thing is this: once you ring the bell, you cannot unring it. You cannot unring it. And sometimes we live so cavalier today, thinking that tomorrow I will have an opportunity to get it right. But we talked about tomorrow a few conversations ago, right? And in this health crisis and in this pandemic, if they have not reminded me of anything, surely this health crisis and this pandemic has reminded me that our lives are on a timeline. Our lives are on a timeline, you all, and they are on this chronological schedule, or what I call a maze of milestones. We got all these milestones, but our lives are on this timeline. It's on this chronological schedule. And one day, life as we know it will come to a screeching halt. And we don't always have time for do-overs. We don't get an opportunity. When this life comes to a screeching halt, we will not have any time for a do-over. We just won't. And when I was growing up, the same is true for some of you, we would hear these songs about get right and do it now. And I remember some of the lyrics of one song was, it went something like, it's late in the evening and the sun is going down. And it urged people to get in a hurry to do the right thing. But I wonder if we are in a hurry these days to do the right thing. We slow down because we think that we have the time. But a part of numbering our days is not just necessarily counting the days, but it's making sure that we make the days matter. Numbering our days means that we make sure that the days matter. And this is not meant, this conversation right now, it's not meant to spread gloom. It's not meant to spread doom, you all, but it is meant to remind us of the beauty in our current days and the beauty and the opportunities that we have to refresh and renew and revitalize and revive and revamp our lives and reposition ourselves on a path so that we can be pleased with the path that we take. So this is what this conversation is about now. This is what this conversation is about tonight, at least the start of the conversation. That's what it's about. And this is about appreciating. It is about appreciating the fact that we still have time to make significant all the seconds that we have, and to make meaningful all the minutes that we have. That is a beautiful thing, so that we can make all of our seconds significant and all of our minutes matter. I wrote this poem some years ago, some time ago, as I thought about how I sometimes had not taken life as seriously as I should have, or really as I could have, how I had not prepared myself to walk out and to walk through the storms of life. I just had not done that. I had not prepared myself. I had not dressed myself, if you will, for the events and the opportunities that I would encounter. I wrote that poem and I called that poem Stop Running Around Naked. Now, usually I close with a poem, but I want to read you all that poem. I want to read you all that poem because as we look at life giving us options and how we should dress ourselves so that we are ready for the events and the opportunities in life, you all, this one sort of makes me chuckle. This poem is in my book, Who We Once Were, and it says, Stop running around naked. Stop running around naked. Stop running around naked. Put some clothes on. Put on some clothes. Put a hat on your heart because it has grown too cold. Put a belt around your tongue, for it's revealing your shame. Put a scarf around your attitude, it's scarring your name. Some shoes on your disposition will do you some good. A glove on your conceit, really, yes, you should. Put a bib around your desires to help catch the drool. Put some clothes over your nakedness and stop looking like a fool. I hope I hope you all like that. Please, let me know if you like it. It makes me chuckle. This particular poem makes me chuckle. The whole notion of running around naked, it means really, it's a metaphor for saying that we're not handling life like we could have or like we should have. So the admonition to me as I wrote that piece was, dress yourself for the events and the opportunities that life is going to present. You ought to have a whole wardrobe for life. And I don't mean costume change and clothes, but I mean you ought to be able to clothe yourself so that you can deal with happiness and accept happiness. You ought to be able to clothe yourself so that you can accept and deal with the peace that's coming your way. You ought to clothe yourself so that you can be prepared for the trials and the tribulations and the challenges that are come. It means that we clothe ourselves. It means we do it psychologically, we do it spiritually, we do it emotionally. Yes, I like that. One of the people, what Jackie wrote, yes, dress rehearsal time. And so that's what it means. As we are living this life, this is a dress rehearsal. So we get a chance to pull all of the clothes out of the wardrobe, try them on, and make sure we get them right. Because when this life comes to an end, we don't have a do-over. I only got 1,800 seconds, and I got to make them count, you all. So let me get on over to this next source of motivation and inspiration, the one for today, October the 22nd. All right. Again, remember, if you don't have this book, run over to Amazon.com and get it. October the 22nd, it says, God is not duplicitous. He does not talk out of both sides of his mouth. He's not duplicitous. That means, double-minded or two-faced, as some people would say. But he does not talk out of both sides of his mouth. And as an anecdote, I wrote this because I want you all to get exactly what I mean, what I was trying to say. God knows what he's thinking. And he has not changed his mind concerning his blessings for your life. That's really what I'm talking about. So this really is inspired. This is motivational because it reminds me that whatever God has said about me, he's not double-tongued. Thank you. He's not double-tongued. Whatever blessings he has spoke over my life, he's not lied about them. He does not change his mind. Have you ever heard anybody, maybe you can remember a scenario, you can recall when you've had somebody to promise you something, but time went on and you forgot, and maybe you thought the person forgot about it. But when they delivered the thing that they had promised some time ago, your response may have been something like this: "Oh, you got me that." Or, "Wow, you remembered." And the individual would probably respond to something like, "Didn't I tell you I was going to get it for you? Didn't I say I was going to do it?" You all, it is the same way. No. Even more so with God. Because when he makes us a promise, you all, when he makes us a promise, it is going to happen. It is going to happen, when he speaks a thing, if you're chatting and we're sharing this conversation and you feel like just saying to people it's going to happen, you can just write that in the chat box. It is going to happen. If God makes us a promise, it's going to happen. When he speaks, and be encouraged by this, because when he speaks a thing, it is going to come to pass. And when he even thinks a thing, when it's on the mind of God, it is going to manifest. And no matter how no matter how many enemies of your soul or how many enemies of your life there may be, no matter how many naysayers try to speak negatively, it does not matter. It does not matter. And I want you to know this. People will speak against your hope. They will speak against your dreams. They will speak against your promises. But God is a promise keeper. It is going to happen. And it's going to happen just like he said it is going to happen. Because guess what, you all? Your enemies, oh my goodness, your enemies have no influence over the blessings that God has in store for you. They just don't. Your enemies have no influence over the blessings that God has for you. So when you have a firm conviction, about what God has said to you or what he has told you to do, then you stand on that thing. And I mean, stand on it just like you have planted your feet in 2 buckets of cement. You stand there and know that the promises or whatever God has said over your life will solidify your foundation, just like those buckets of cement that you're standing in. His promises are solid. You all, I know that life teaches us about limitations. I get that. I know that life teaches us about boundaries and borders. I know that. I know life teaches us about the limitations of going as far as we can go, the restrictions of what we can do and what we can say and what we can have. But what life has also taught me is that there are no limits to the power and the capabilities of God. Absolutely not. None whatsoever. I have not lived very long. There are people who have lived a lot longer than I have. But I've lived long enough to know there is one thing that God cannot do. Why am I turning this into a revival? Cutler, you just here to motivate and inspire the people in general. But this is the conviction of my life, you all. I've lived long enough to know that God cannot lie. He cannot lie. So for people who have a spiritual relationship, whatever he says to me about me, that's what I believe. That is what I believe. Now, what he said to you about you is between you and him. So then, let's try to stop figuring out what God said to other people about themselves. My greatest concern, one of my greatest concerns is what he says about me. And may I offer you all this, I say it tongue in cheek, but this piece of humor, but it is a powerful reality. I put it out there on social media today. Let's stop lying on God. Let's just stop it. Let's just stop lying on God. We say that God said a whole lot of stuff that he might not have said. And then we get upset with him and try to hold him accountable for stuff that he didn't say. Sometimes we get upset and we would kick a fit and we would throw tantrums. We want to kick and scream and cuss and develop attitudes with God and do all of that because we wonder things like, how could my life look the way it looks? How could it look like this? You told me I wouldn't have any burdens in life. You told me that everything is going to go wonderful. And you told me that my life would be filled with prosperity and only prosperity. You told me I wouldn't have to deal with any sorrow. We do all of that stuff. And we hold him accountable for stuff that he did not say. We forget that he never told us that we wouldn't have trials and challenges and tribulations. We forget that he did not tell us that our lives would be void and empty of circumstances that make us sometimes scratch our heads. We forget that he didn't say those things. And we live like Yes, we want to call the shots. We live like he said that stuff to us. Let us stop, not any of us, of course, but let us in general stop lying on God. Because God did not say that our lives would be empty of troubles and trials and sorrows. He never said that. But what he did say, what he did promise, was that he would be with us always. Yes, he did say that. And what he did say was that whatever we go through, we would not have to go through it alone. That's what he said. I will be with you always. I will never leave you nor forsake you. That's what he said. So let's stop lying. None of us, but as you all are sharing this, make sure you just share with people. Y'all, let's just stop lying on God. Let's just stop lying on him, because there are some things that he did not say. Lord Cutler, you only got 1,800 seconds to make this count. But I want you all to know this quote, really, God is not duplicitous. He does not talk out of both sides of his mouth. I'm telling y'all, he really does not. So whatever he said, do you not know that as it pertains to you, the blessings that he has in store for you, the things that he has spoken for you, as it pertains to that, the promises of God over your life are simply yes and amen. Yes, and it is going to happen. And no matter what others think, no matter what others desire, God's blessings for you are irreversible by anybody else. They really are. So be encouraged by that. Be inspired by that. And just know that each day we experience more blessings. There are blessings in store for us tomorrow. And you take hold to that. Take hold to that. And enjoy and walk in it and say, you know what? Whatever he's promised me for tomorrow, it is going to happen. And I'm excited about the fact that it is going to happen. All right, so then let us go on, because I only got 1,800 seconds. Y'all got to make this count. So let's go on to October the 23rd. That's for tomorrow. That is for that's for tomorrow, right? I was going to get myself all mixed up, but that is for tomorrow, Friday. I got to talk about this one. You all listen carefully. It takes only one dirty hand to make a clean thing dirty. It takes only one dirty hand to make a clean thing dirty. Don't contaminate the things, the places, or the people of God. So you all know, I used to make all of these apologies about being faith-based and all of that kind of stuff. But there comes some times in life when we just have to be true to who we are and offer soul food and soul talk and soul conversations. And you all know, for me, a lot of times that is exactly where I go here, because we deal with so much on the exterior until our souls, our hearts, our minds, our intellect, our emotions, all of that stuff needs to be stirred up and needs to be inspired. And that is what I'm hoping to do for these 1,800 seconds, you all. That is what I'm really hoping to do. So when I talk about living life in such a way that we make every moment count, every minute matter, and every second significant, that's what I'm hoping to do for these 1,800 seconds. As we're counting them, that is what I'm hoping to do. So then, this whole notion of it only takes one hand to make a clean thing dirty, and don't contaminate the things, the people, and the places of God. Let me tell you all what I was talking about. You all know that I talk frequently about safeguarding yourself and about taking care of yourself and strengthening yourself and handling yourself in such a way that you build you up. I talk about that all the time. Well, I want to remind us of the importance of doing the same thing when it comes to other people, so that we don't contaminate them, so that we don't allow ourselves to become contaminated. Why would I walk in your house with mud on my shoes, but then come back to my own house and I won't even walk in, and those muddy shoes will never even cross the threshold. Why would I treat your house like that, but then not do it to my house? Why do some people think it is okay to contaminate everybody else's life with their vitriol and their putrid way of being, but they don't want it in their lives? Why contaminate somebody else's space when you want yours to be pure and serene? Why do that? So this conversation right here, this is an admonition to just leave people alone, and then cause other people to leave you alone. Just tell people, leave me alone. How many of you have ever heard the saying, if you can't say anything good about a person, you can fill in the ... If you can't say anything good about a person, what is the rest of that quote? Don't say anything at all. And I'm telling you all this, I know people who will contaminate other folks' lives and sit there as if they have done absolutely nothing at all. I know people, I'm telling you all this, I know people who have partaken in mess with others. And then when those other people's lives start spiraling down, guess what they do? They step aside and they say, I wonder why his life or her life is in so much turmoil. Part of the reason is because of you and your vitriol and your putrid ways. You've come in and you've contaminated their lives. And then you have the audacity to step aside and say, I wonder what happened to them. I'm telling you, I know people like that. And one of the reasons, well, I'm going to be transparent for just a moment. One of the reasons why some people are upset with me this very day is because I restricted the access that they once had to my life. You don't get a chance to bring your contaminants, your pollutants, and your toxins back into my life. No, when I know that you are doing that, when I know that you're bringing all of that stuff, and you don't get to toss that stuff into my home and my heart and my life, and then leave me to clean up the bacteria and the virus and the mold and the mildew and the fungus and the stuff that you planted. You don't get that chance. Absolutely not. Not over here. You don't get a chance to do that. Because you all, as we are in this pandemic, and listen, I don't have a lot of time. 1,800 seconds, I got to make this count. The same way that we are in this pandemic and we're wearing these gloves and these face masks and these face shields every day, let's learn to do the same thing with our lives. Why? Why? Because I know some of you are in healthcare. You can appreciate what I'm about to say. Let's make sure that we do the same thing with our lives, because it only takes one virus to give birth to a pandemic. Now let that marinate. It only takes one virus to give birth to a whole pandemic, and people will run in your life, they will contaminate your life, and they will leave you to deal with the aftermath. They really, really will. I'm telling you. But as of today, let's lift the people up, Cutler. But as of today, when you sense that people are coming to your life to spread infections and dropping pollutants and contaminants, you take out your psychological, your emotional, and your spiritual disinfectant. Take it all out. And you get the spraying, and I tell you what, they will turn and run the other way. One person said, and I'm sick of it. Absolutely. Listen, you've got to get, because what happens, notice, when some people get their contaminants in your life, you get sick because of what they've done. But get sick of them before they ever come your way. Take out your psychological, your emotional, and your spiritual disinfectant and get the spraying and watch them turn and run the other way like roaches in the dark. Or roaches when the light comes on. They'll run like roaches. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Start spraying, and I'm telling you this, watch them run. Don't let people contaminate your life, and somebody said, get your raid out. Don't let people contaminate your lives. And certainly, I know we're working together. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday night because we don't intentionally want to contaminate anybody else's life, but I'm here for you all because I don't want you to let anybody contaminate your life. All right. So then, listen, I've been chit-chatting for the last 1,800 seconds. And remember, you all, it only takes one dirty hand to make a clean thing dirty. And then remember, God is not duplicitous. As it concerns you and the blessings over your life, he has not changed his mind about that. And then remember, life gives us many options, but death only offers us two. So while we're living, let's make the moments matter and the seconds significant. All right, y'all know I want to close out by sharing another poem with you. Because sometimes as we're going through life, we can hit rock bottom and it feels like we've reached those dead situations. But sometimes when you reach what looks like or feels like a dead situation, you have to say to yourself, if I can still reason and think in this situation, I'm not dead. And so you have to allow every situation to revive you. Let it all revive you. So then, here is what, yes, I'm loving these comments. I'm loving these comments, you all. Yeah, boundaries have a purpose. They absolutely do. Borders have significance. So I want to remind you all that as life happens and you make every moment matter, remember I said that God never promised us that we wouldn't have trials and tribulations and challenges, but he promised that he would be with us in all of them and through all of them. I want to remind you of that poetically. Here in this book, third book rather, Who We Once Were. Here in this book, I want to remind y'all. Honestly, I can't remember the order. This is the second or the third, but the point is that in Who We Once Were, here's a poem called "Turning in My Grave." Because I want to remind you that even when you hit rock bottom, you can bounce back as long as you are living. Turning, I was raped, beaten, and molested, stripped and left for dead. But no one came to my rescue. No good Samaritan, no good son of a bastard, daughter of a dog. Turning, I was emotionally violated, psychologically penetrated, castigated, and kicked in my ambition. Some laughed, some smirked, some stomped my aspirations down. Turning, my arm was twisted, wrung like a wet mop, popped the bone out of its socket, and left my strength dangling, dislocated, disconnected from my soul, discolored with deceit. Turning, I was abused, socially sodomized, wounded, and misused, and blood oozed from my dreams, slow, warm, disgustingly putrid. Turning around, I found myself in a tomb where someone had been, where life reached an end, but something remained and my soul regained inspiration. Turning around, I touched dead bones and realized they were not mine, and my soul was revived. You have been with me for the past 1,800 seconds. This is Cutler on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform. I've been with you in your living room, your bedroom, your dining room, your kitchen, for some, maybe even your car. But let's continue doing what we do. Let's continue building community, maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up, keep your hopes up, stay safe, stay sane. Have a great weekend, and I will see you right here this time next Tuesday. Enjoy, have a great weekend, and I will see you later. Good night, all.